Hi, and hello everyone. I'm Oscar, and this is my first ASMR YouTube video. Today I will be painting this particular frame from the movie Perfect Days. It is really one of my favorite movies in recent years. I guess you might have already watched this movie. Otherwise, why would have you clicked on this video? Or maybe you just heard of it and this video looked cool, which would be very nice from you. But yeah, I'm assuming that most people watching this have already watched this movie. If you haven't, I really heavily recommend it. I think it touches on a lot of themes. To me, this movie is a lot about how to live life. I think it has a lot of stoic related topics that I really like. I'm always afraid of talking about stoicism because it has been so overused in very bad corners of the internet. Right now what I'm doing is just I want to lay down some basic tonal values. So I'm gonna be starting with the figure of Mr. Hirayama. I'm gonna try to lay down two values on his whole figure, and then I'll go refining, and then I'll do the background. So at the beginning of the video I said this is my first video, and hopefully it is the first video that I am able to post on this channel, but it isn't the first video I do for this channel. I actually I did another one painting the last frame from Pearl, from Ty West's Pearl, which is another movie I really like. I gotta say, it would have been really cool if that video had came out, because it would have shown like such a contrast between that movie and this one. But yeah, that mainly happened not posting that video because I didn't even finish off the painting because it went very wrong. I didn't anticipate how hard that portrait was. I mean, it's not like it was the hardest thing ever, but you know, doing it here in camera, and you know, it being the first time that I was like painting while talking in this way, I underestimated how hard it is. I thought like, if sometimes I can paint while listening to a podcast or something, I thought like, well, yeah, it might be easy to do it while I speak. And it absolutely wasn't. Speaking is hard. I mean, it's not that hard. speaking isn't that hard, and painting isn't either. But doing both of those at the same time, it takes a lot of cognitive energy. It was tough. So the painting turned out wrong, and even I had like practiced a couple of times for it. Like I did a couple of sketches, like just with pen to be like really familiar with the proportions and yeah, generally with that image. And I also prepared some tones, some painting tones. But yeah, it was still very hard. Also, that particular portrait is kind of very tough because it's not like a neutral face or a smiling face. You know, it's like a really emotionally charged face with a lot of expression, you know. It tries to convey a lot from the character and the place she's at, but also it's trying to convey horror, which it does. But yeah, that is like kind of very complex to do on a painting. As I was saying, it's not rocket science. I mean, I don't think rocket science is that hard either, like if you just study it. Or maybe it is, maybe that's why the expression exists, right? Yeah, so this time I shouldn't have put paint in there because exactly in that point there is like a big hair highlight. Yeah, it's not in my best interest to have some very dark paint somewhere in which I will be putting some really light paint afterwards. So yeah, I learned from my mistakes. I understood the portraits can be hard, more so when you're speaking on top of it. So yeah, this time around I did things kind of differently. As you saw from the beginning of the video, I've had primed this whole I was gonna say the whole canvas, but it's paper, the whole paper, with somewhat of a mid-tone towards the reds, because generally it's a warm scene. I did that. I laid out where the character is. Also, as you might be able to see, I had a but yeah, these squares which helped me lay down. I've been saying lay down the whole video, but I think it's layout. But I also think it's not layout. Well, to put down everything in the places where it should be. So yeah, I did that. I also didn't choose a portrait because portraits are not forgiving. They are very hard. I mean, very hard in comparison to other painting subjects. If you get very slight proportions wrong, it looks off. It is not forgiving, and I can say it is not ideal to do it as your first ASMR painting video and the first time that you're speaking while painting. So yeah, I chose a bigger scene in which the character occupies a arguably small space in it. And I also prepared all of my tones beforehand. The last time I did it, I just mixed some of those and then kept mixing on the process, which is how I would do it with any other painting. So yeah, right now I laid 2 or 3 tones for everything on Mr. Hirayama's body. I was thinking about doing the whole body and then just very loosely painting the background, but I think I'm not going to do that, because even though I have like somewhat of a mid-tone in here, it's kind of light in comparison to the reference of this scene. It's actually somewhat of a dark scene, because it has the light coming from the back, from this window in here. I mean, this is right now this isn't a window, it's a piece of paper. It won't be. So yeah, I'm gonna put some of the darkest values of the background in order to have more information and be able to have better points of reference to build the body of Mr. Hirayama. So yeah, here I am putting pretty much my darkest darks. Yeah, I think that is the information I will be needing. Also, I will paint the background very, very, very loosely. I gotta say that I put a Gaussian blur effect on my reference to help me out to paint the background, and I don't like how it looks digitally. Like, I don't like how it looks with the main character in focus and the background with the Gaussian blur. But like, that's the reference, you know, like whatever I am painting here won't look as that Gaussian blur. So I am hoping it works, even though I know it might not. Also, you know, painting this way is, oh my gosh, my dog. I could like stop the video or stop painting while he's barking, but I don't want to. Also, the position in which I am painting is kind of very uncomfortable, but I think that it's also kind of good, because I am being like, I have a very kind of cheap tripod, so it doesn't get very high and I usually paint standing, so I have to put this very low, and I am like behind the camera and stuff. But there is a bad habit that a lot of painters have, including myself, which is like painting very, very close to the canvas. You know, any painting professor you can encounter is going to be very insistent on you getting far from your canvas, and now I have no option, and I cannot keep having that bad habit because I just physically can't be that close. which is good. So yeah, now with all this extra information of those really dark areas, actually I'm gonna paint another dark area, which I think it's very important, more so in the context of what I was just about to say, which is this shadow over here, which is, yeah, also like one of the darkest spots on Mr. Hirayama's body. As of right now, I am recording my voice with my laptop, and I just turned around and saw that the screen was black, and I had it like my heart skipped a bit, like the song, but no, it was still recording. Thanks God. My next step is going to be to further refine and add more values in the whole body of Mr. Hirayama. I am going to start with the face because it's what I find the hardest, and I think I am actually going to have to move and to be in front of the camera, because I might have to get closer in order to do this. Like it's not going to be detailed, but those are going to be the smallest strokes on the whole painting. So yeah. Also, I am not like just speaking. But I am speaking on a soft-spoken manner, which I don't know, like sometimes I really like more of a whispered vibe, but I don't know why. From the beginning that I had the idea of doing these videos, like it has been always so clear to me that I think a soft-spoken voice, it's what fits it better. I don't know why, but yeah, I think it is. But who knows? You know, maybe later I could try out some good old whispering. Yeah. So this blue liner brush is my favorite, and for some reason it is hard. I think I might have not cleaned it very well the last time. Yeah, because I've been, let's say, going through stuff, and I have not painted in like almost a week. So yeah, it is also very forgiving, very forgiving scene, because he's asleep. So not having to paint his face completely, well, it is an advantage. It makes it kind of easier. So yeah, I do believe this is a very important movie. I would recommend it to everyone. Another thing I learned in that first video is that sometimes I could just shut up, like I've been doing for the last couple of minutes, Because yeah, sometimes stuff gets hard, and yeah, you need more focus. Speaking of focus, now that I am saying it, sometimes I think, or I have noticed, like painting in different moments requires different quantities and qualities of focus. You know, there are moments when you're like painting with a live model in which you can have, or you should have, like a full focus on it. But you can also like listen to music and it's okay. It works. But I've also had experiences in which like I have to finish a painting like I that brushstroke was very, very unfortunate. Also, I don't know if y'all are like noticing what I'm doing here, because it's like a really small space, and yeah, because on the preview of the video that I can see, I don't see it very clearly. Maybe that is also something to take into account, you know, because yeah, and this is another this is kind of important for me. Oh my god, I was just like talking about attention and the attention that painting asks of you, and I just lost, like I forgot that I was talking about that. But yeah, still I'm gonna stop talking about that because I was gonna say another thing, which is about like my intent with these videos. So yeah, I decided to do a complete voiceover of this section of the video because I was like talking about something, but it was not like understandable at all. I was just losing my train of thought. So I was just saying like about my intentions of doing these videos, and I was talking about how pursuing painting as a professional career has a lot of implications, you know, in terms of trying to consider the concept of the artwork and the commercial potential of it, you know, being able to sell it, and also it being like important for you. So, you know, in these videos, my only intent is to paint, you know, and to enjoy and to share with you the process of it. I love the act of doing it. I love seeing how these brush strokes turn into something. I was gonna say how these brush strokes turn into the illusion of form and of three-dimensionality, but not quite, because I do not do a lot of abstract, but I want to. I really, really want to. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's all on the illusion of three-dimensionality, but that's definitely a pleasure I have as a painter. But yeah, like in my in the paintings I do in my day-to-day life, I am worried about so much other stuff, which is not that I'm complaining, because I like it, that's why I do it, I guess. But yeah, you know, like I want this channel and these videos to be a space for me to paint stuff just because of the joy of the process of painting, you know? Like, there is nothing creative to this thing that I am doing because I am just like copying this image. But I don't think that's bad. That's why I'm doing it. You know, I think there's value in it, and I think there is value on this process. You know, it is very valuable for me because I love doing it, and I think it can be valuable for you in the sense of watching this process. You know, I am sharing because I love doing it, and that's why I think it can be valuable. So yeah, now that I have the outsides of Mr. Hirayama's face painted, I can see it clearly. And I can see that he looks like extra skinny because yeah, as he's laying down and we're seeing his face from the bottom, there is not so much of this kind of opening in the shape of it. It's more like straight lines. So yeah, I'm gonna fix that. No, God, no ring. I said love is that thing. Also, if anybody's actually watching this, tell me, what would you like to see me painting? I have the idea of doing more scenes of movies. I've actually already got a Pinterest pinboard. Is that how it is called? I think it isn't. But yeah, whatever. I think I'm gonna leave it there with the face. Yeah, and I'm gonna move on to the rest of his body. I am actually quite relieved to have done the face because I think it was something that could have gone wrong and it didn't, and I am like so relieved because of it. I got a bit lost for a moment, you know. I was like, what am I doing? I mean, like, I was not sure about what was like the next thing that I should do. Yeah, I regained consciousness, and now I remember my life's mission, which is to do painting ASMR videos. Also, this is kind of funny, you know, like I am doing this, but like, yeah, I know there's like a YouTube algorithm which makes things get to people, but but I know, you know, like I am kind of tripping, like, how is somebody gonna watch this, or how is this video going to get to anybody? But I certainly hope it does. As I was saying, I do this highly in part just because of from loving painting. But yeah, I also there's also a desire to share it, you know. There was also the let's call it creative decision of the painting medium that I am using, which is oil paint. In some aspects, it can be kind of hard, you know. You gotta work in somewhat of a certain way, because if you don't, then you die. No, I mean, because if you kind of don't plan well the order in which you will be applying your paint, you might not be able to apply it. In some ways, acrylic paint can be more forgiving because it just dries and then you can apply more paint on top of it. But, you know, in my experience and in my opinion, acrylic paint's biggest advantage is its own biggest disadvantage, because at least to me it's so stressful how fast it dries. Not in the canvas but in the palette, because it gets on my nerves, you know. Like, I mixed all of these colors like more than an hour ago, and I just don't worry about it, you know. Even in a couple of minutes I will be making a pause to charge my phone, and I am not worried. I do not have to worry about the paint drying out, which is something that would be absolutely driving me mad if this was acrylic paint. So yeah, I have a lot of love for oil paint, but also sometimes I kind of hate it. Also, the fact that acrylic paint is Mexican, it's so cool. I just noticed that I haven't done anything to the hands. They are just a couple of brush strokes. It might be fun to leave them that way, or maybe not. So I think these pants are looking great, but I can't quite figure out why. Any ideas are welcome about why it's not looking good. I mean, it's not looking bad. Yeah, I think that maybe just the lights gotta reach a bit farther. Yeah, I think what's not looking great is like I'm not having that much variation in shapes. Like, everything looks kind of the same, more than a complex mass of fabric falling into a leg or something. Or something. Something that I find sometimes very funny about painting is how one of the first things you learn is how this is not about lines, but about planes and strokes and masses. But then, with time, you realize that sometimes just straight up lines like this help a lot to give the volume that you're trying to give to your painting. I am suspecting that this dark side of the jacket is way too bright. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Hey, so I took a small break in order to put my phone to charge, and here we are. I was just watching during that break. I was watching, I saw the first half of the second half of the match of Peru. No, not Peru. Of, damn, this is like all of the tones that I prepared for the jacket are really, really bright, which is bad, but it is also not a huge problem. Like, I just gotta do some darker ones. I don't know, they don't seem that light in my palette. But yeah, I was just watching the Paraguay United States game. It was so sad. I just came out and was like, what? 3 goals? You know, I will always root for Latin America and global South countries in general, I guess. Maybe except for Germany matches because I want to go to Germany. I maybe want to start rooting for that country. From what I saw, Paraguay wasn't playing that badly, but well, I didn't see the first half of the game in which they got 3 goals scored, which is bad for them. I've been kind of very conflicted because I am like very politically against the World Cup and the fact that it is being co-hosted by my country. It's bad with me. I don't see it as something good, but I don't know. Sport is cool, and I think the competition between countries is something fun to see. You know, I was just some minutes ago. I was biting my nails watching the match, and I was like, "Why on earth am I biting my nails? It doesn't make any sense." These are the things that are lost in the fire or something. I want to put a second camera on the palette. I don't know, maybe these videos will, if I am right now taking sort of a long time to film this and I had all my tones already prepared, well, it might be longer if I don't. But I don't know. Like, I think it would be really cool to also film what is happening on the palette. These yeah, I think I like it better the way the shapes of the face look now, or something. I've been having a lot the or something thing lately. A lot from that song by Idols. I think it's Ra. Or maybe I know it's a song from the latest record. Hands, yeah, I'm not gonna do much. I will just put down a couple of brush strokes, just these darker ones. Yeah, I think I think it's not in my best interest to try and define the fingers, so I won't. Like just a moment ago, like unintentionally whispering, and I think it can be kind of funny, to switch between whispering and softly speaking. Also, I'm wondering a lot, like, how much time is this going to take to edit? Because right now I have like a microphone for my voice, a sleep microphone. That's what they're called, right? Sleep microphone, because it goes in your sleep. And I want the rest of the audio to be recorded from the camera. So yeah, I don't know. The jacket absolutely lost its thing, it is now like blue, which is weird. I don't. Sometimes I am not very aware of how some pigments are working with others, and I feel very dumb not knowing what is going on. But yeah, I think that's part of it. So yeah, I think Mr. Hirayama's body is completed. I could work on it more, but I don't think it would do much good. So yeah, now I'm just gonna work on the background, I guess, which as I said before, I will do very, very synthetically. So yeah, I'm gonna start by this left side, which is farther away from me. Yeah, so I basically want to have fun. All girls just want to have fun. I don't want to imply that I am girls. I wish I were sometimes, but I am not. But yeah, I think this part is kind of fun. I have already these tones prepared too, but there are some that I don't, that I am making up as I go along. But yeah, I am planning, as you might be seeing right now, to make this very, very loose. There is something making a noise, and I am not sure about what it is. I am going to use a bigger brush, which I had not been using, mainly because I didn't want to, because I was not sure if the paint that I prepared was going to be enough. But yeah, now I think I can make it work. And yeah, like, yeah, I really like how things kind of blend in and stuff and look so painterly. I am not a fan of that concept word. Things that are lost in the fire. Something. Did you see that? Like how the yellow paint took the blue paint with it and just dragged it and made it part of itself. I think that is just so much fun. Yeah. So yeah, also now I am realizing that I think the undertone I did was a good idea, because I think the way the colors are breathing, I mean, how the undertone color is breathing through this very diluted paint that I am putting down, I think it looks good. I like it. Yeah. I also think it looks kind of like trippy how loosely this background is being painted. Now I would love y'all to see this, but I am like just having fun on the palette, because now I can take paint from all the other bunches of paint that I had prepared. Some neighbors just put some music on. I'm just hoping it's not that audible. Hopefully. I guess I'm sorry if it is, and if it bothers you or something. Yeah, you know, this is also something that oil paint gives you that acrylic could never, or it might, but yeah, look at this. Look at how all that paint merges. I find it beautiful. I find it compelling. I am a romantic for paint. That I lost in the fire or something. So yeah, I really think this is a very important movie, kind of about how to go through life and how things can be could be very simple. You know, also you can't quite live like the protagonist of the movie because, well, he's in Japan, and Japan has some really good stuff for the people who live in there, which you might not find in a lot of other countries. So yeah, what I'm saying is that part of the simple life that Mr. Hirayama has in the movie, well, yeah, it has to do with the material conditions of the country he lives in. But still, I find very important the message of, like, you don't need like a fancy job. You need to be devoted to your job. I mean, which would be hard if you have an awful job, which is very common. The job of cleaning bathrooms, you know, can be seen or understood as very undesirable. But you know, when you think about it, it's really a very important job. Well, I mean, at least in his context. In my country, there are no public bathrooms. you pay for it, and it is still bad. But yeah, I think in the context of Mr. Hirayama's country, he does a really important job. But it is also a very unglamorous job, and a job which can really be seen as very undesirable. Which is something that actually another character says to him throughout the movie. The director of the movie says that, you know, it is not something that you see in the movie, but as they wrote the character and like created him in his lore, you know, the character used to be a businessman. You can see that when, I mean, it's not like you can see it, but it does make sense, you know, when you see his sister visiting him, well, not visiting him, but going to pick up her daughter with him, and she goes like, are you really cleaning bathrooms? Like, are you really subjecting yourself to that? The other day I was listening to the first episode of a new podcast by Hank Green, which is called Humans, and the first episode was the guest of the episode was his brother John Green. If you don't know about the work of the Green brothers, so to speak, it's amazing. They do really cool stuff, and while watching that video, there was something that John said that was like, I think most of awful things in humanity can be like traced back to not having an understanding of that all lives matter the same, you know. So in that sense, what I'm saying is like yeah, it would be dumb. It is a really dumb idea, but also very common. I mean, that cleaning bathrooms would make you less, you know. This would be it. I really recommend you, oh my god, watching Perfect Days. It is such a beautiful movie. It has been with me in my worst, in my best. Not really. It just came out a couple of years ago. But I really do recommend you watching it. If you person seeing this video exists and like somebody's watching this, feel free to to make suggestions about what would you like to see me painting in future videos. If you want to, if you don't, it's okay. I will figure out by myself. Don't worry for me. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.